I'd like to say thank you very much and welcome to the first Flip Wilson special. And in the dressing room a few moments ago, I was sitting and I was running through my mind great quotations. I like great quotations. I've always learned a great deal from them. And there were three that ran through my mind. One was the greatest quotation I've ever heard made by a woman. And the second was one that I'd written myself. And the third was a quotation made by a gentleman who I consider to be the champion of great quotations, Benjamin Franklin. Let me do them for you, see what I mean? The greatest quotation made by a woman was made by a girl named Sarah Johnson. And it was made when I was coming in to do the show out at the Los Angeles airport. It was Sarah Johnson, whom I heard tell the airline's service representative there, "If you can fly this plane 600 miles an hour in the dark and find Los Angeles, you can find my bags." Yeah, I heard her say that. I heard that. I was there when she said that. Then there's one that I wrote that I consider, it has the potential of becoming great, and I think it'll catch on sooner if more people would tell their friends. My quotation says, "Don't order a drink for the road, because the road is already laid out." I thought that was pretty hip. Ben Franklin made the greatest quotations, the hippest, I'd have to say. It was Ben Franklin who said, "It's hard to forget a girl when you buy her a gift on time." I like that one. That's really a great quotation. Went by to see my minister yesterday. You know what my minister told me? He was saying how much pressure women are under from the devil and how the devil just hounds women. You know, that's rough, too, being a minister. I mean, he told me, he said, "You're coming in here complaining about your problems, and I got to wage this constant battle against the devil." I said, "Yeah, Rev?" He told me his wife came in the house a few days before, and she had this box. And on the side of this box was written the name of a very exclusive dress shop. The lowest dress was $85. And that was on sale. So she walks in the house, and Rev says, "Another dress? You bought another dress? This is ridiculous. That's the third dress this week." And his wife tells him, "The devil made me buy this dress." Said, "I didn't want to buy no dress. The devil kept following me. I was going down the street going, and the devil kept following me, and he kept telling me how good I look." Rev said, "I'm not going for that." Said, "Every time you do something wrong, you blame it on the devil." Said, "You blamed it on the devil when you ran the car to the side of the church." She tells him, "It was the devil. You wasn't there. How do you know? He grabbed the steering wheel out of my hand." Rev said, "Well, why didn't you step on the brake?" Said, "Because when he grabbed the steering wheel, I tried to kick him. You can't kick him and step on the brake at the same time." Said, "And we had a big fight. And that's why I was in the back seat when y'all got the car open." Rev said, "Well, how'd the devil get you to buy the dress?" She said, "I was going out and and the devil sneaked up behind me. I heard him tiptoe, you know. I didn't want to look around because I knew it was the devil, you know." The devil came up behind me, said, "Say, Mama, look at the dress in the window there." Said, "That's your size, too." Said, "It's on sale, too. Got a lot of them flowers in it like you like, you know. So why don't you treat yourself to that dress?" And I told him, "You better cut that out, devil. I already bought 2 dresses this week. I'm not going to buy no dress. I'm not even going to look at it." Devil said, "Well, why don't you try it on?" Said, "I'm not going to charge you nothing to try it on. I mean, that's free. You owe yourself a try on." I said, "Devil, you better leave me alone." And he shoved me in the door. The devil just shoved me in that door. He pushed me in the door. I said, "Devil, stop it, please." Then he shoved me over over to where the dress was. I said, cut it out, devil. Then he threatened me and made me try it on. Devil said, you gonna buy that dress? I said, I'm not buying no dress, devil. And he pulled the gun. Devil pulled a gun and he threatened me and made me sign your name to a check. Rip said, look, how come every time the devil makes you do something, it's something for your benefit? When's the devil going to do me a favor? And his wife tells him, he did already. I asked the devil about that. He said if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't even have a job. I had to disappoint a lady to do this show. Miss Johnson. I hope she's watching. And I want to, here I am, Miss Johnson. It wasn't a matter of my not telling the truth when I told you I'd be here. See, let me tell you about Miss Johnson. Miss Johnson's the president of this ladies' club, and for years she helped me along the way, because she'd invite me by to do club dates for a club meeting on Thursday afternoons. Miss Johnson's the president of this ladies' club called You Tell Me What She Said About Me, and I'll tell you what she said about you. She's president of the club. And I was supposed to do an afternoon affair for them, and I went by to tell her that I wouldn't be able to make it because I was coming to do the special. So I said, Miss Johnson, I won't be able to make it. She said, well, what am I going to tell the girls? She said, I promised them you were going to be there. I said, well, I don't know, Miss Johnson. She said, well, can you get someone to take your place? I said, it's too late because I got to catch the plane. I got to get out and do my first special. She said, well, what about me? I said, I don't know what to tell you to do. And there was a knock at the door. And Miss Johnson goes to the door, and there's two bums there. And the bums were gentlemen. They weren't just raggedy bums. These guys had a little class. Well, the bum says, Miss Johnson, would you mind giving a couple guys who haven't eaten in 2 days a meal? Miss Johnson says, certainly. They said, in return, we'd be willing to do some work for you. So Miss Johnson said, okay, how about cutting some of that wood? So the bums go and they start to cut the wood. Miss Johnson's preparing the food. Then I'm watching. And we're discussing who we're going to get to take my place, if anybody. Then, zoom, I saw a guy shoot by the window. He was doing somersaults. So what was that? I was wondering what it was, and all of a sudden he came back. Said, boop, 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 boop. I said, Miss Johnson, there's a guy doing somersaults by your window. She said, yeah. She went to the door, and she looks, and there's one of the bums. And he's doing cartwheels around the yard and somersaults. Then he's spinning around. Then he ran up the side of the tree. I said, wow, Miss Johnson. Then he spun around the branch and he jumped back down to the ground and did a little ballet there, like that. Did about 5 minutes of that. I said, Miss Johnson, why don't you get him to perform for the club date this afternoon? She said, great, so I'll ask him. So she called his bum's friend. She said, would your buddy perform for me at the club meeting this afternoon? Said, I'll give him $100. I'm surprised because she was only giving me $35. The guy said, I don't know, Miss Johnson. Said, I'll ask him. Then he turned to his buddy and he said, hey, Freddie, you willing to cut off another toe for $100? Like motorbikes. I like motorbikes. This is a great new story I've been working on about a motorbike. It's about this guy named Charlie. Charlie got a motorbike for his birthday, He was happy. Yeah, I got a motorbike. And he wanted his best friend to see it, So he said, I'm going to ride over to my best friend's house and show him my motorbike. And he got on the bike, His friend lived next door. And he calls his friends out, and he shows them the motorbike. And his friend said, yeah, that's always a sharp motorbike. He said, but I bought my tennis shoes down because I wanted you to see my tennis shoes. And Charlie said, tennis shoes? The fellow said, yeah. He said, my tennis shoes, I wanted you to see them. Said, I'm as proud of my tennis shoes as you are that motorbike. Said, in fact, I'm willing to bet you that these tennis shoes are faster than that motorbike. Charlie said, are you crazy? Said, how's a pair of tennis shoes going to be faster than the motorbike? So you want to race? I said, yeah, I'll race you. So the guy puts on the tennis shoes, Charlie gets on the motorbike, and people were going by up into the hall of the building, and they heard them talking about it, and they're knocking on the doors, the apartments, telling people. So everybody started looking out of the window and said, tennis shoes against motorbike? Yeah, right down there. Said, you gonna race tennis shoes against motorbike? Said, that's ridiculous. How's a pair of tennis shoes gonna meet a motorbike? said, right down there. And then the race started. You know, the guy on the motorbike starts up. Charlie started about 25 miles an hour. Sometimes my lips get stuck doing that. But maybe they'll cut that out. You know? And the motorbike's doing about 25 miles an hour, and Charlie's friend is running right alongside him. You know, he said, you better go and start the race, because a lot of people got their money bet. Charlie said, okay, so I'm going to whip it up to 45. And the motorbike's doing about 45, you know, and his buddy's running right along beside him. Then his buddy passed him, his buddy passed him, then he crossed over in front of him, then he went back around him. And the guy started running it backwards, talking to him on the motorbike. He said, you better get out of the way, so I'm going to open this motorbike up. Then he, turned the motorbike full speed. And the motorbike went about 40, 45 miles an hour, 50 miles, 60 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour. Then a big hill, a hill and a curve. Right around that curve, And when he got around the curve, Charlie turned and looked, He looked for his buddy, and his buddy wasn't there. He waited a few minutes. Then he got back on the motorbike and he rolled back around the car. Then he looked, and his buddy's laying in the ditch. I said, say, man, what are you doing in the ditch? And his buddy said, you ever have a tennis shoe blowout on you at 90 miles an hour? Okay. The story's about a minister. His name is Reverend Leroy. Leroy was pastor of the church of the What's Happening Now. Leroy wasn't the type of guy who'd tell you what happened a long time ago or what's going to happen in the future. When you go to Leroy's place, he'd tell you what's happening now. The members of the congregation dug Reverend Leroy so much that they got together and chipped in, all of them chipped in, and they built Rev a new tabernacle. Well, it was really a storefront, but they renovated. Changed the name from barbecue place to tabernacle. Put a big sign on the front. Church of the What's Happening Now, pastored by Reverend Leroy. Now, it was the first day of the service. The day of the first service at the new tabernacle. Early Sunday morning. Down the road, on a path, leading through the zoo, comes Reverend Leroy. Now, this Sunday morning, the rain is falling down. Brothers and sisters, the rain was falling down, and the wind was blowing. And into the pouring down wind and the rain came Reverend Leroy. As he walked through the zoo, standing there in the cage behind the bars, looking out between the bars, it's a gorilla. Now, you're laughing. Now, I realize that gorilla, but on the cage, on the front of the cage where it has the name of the animal, it said Go-Rilla. G-O, it said beware of the G-O-Rilla. That's Go-Rilla. Beware means watch out. Watch out for the Go-Rilla. As Rev passes the cage, he sees the gorilla standing there, leaning on the cage, digging out between the bars. Rev thinks that the gorilla is a man in jail who's had his civil rights violated. Rev stops in front of the cage. He says, said brother, why? Why have they got you behind those bars? Said, brother, whatever they said you did, you didn't do it. Said you didn't do it. He said, because I know an innocent face when I see one. Said, you didn't do it, brother. He said, I know. He said, look, just look at the hair hanging down
in your nasty face. Said, brother, they won't even let you wash your nasty face. Said, look, said, they've even got you drinking out of a trough. Said, and brother, a man has to stoop pretty low to drink from a trough. Said, we're going to do something about this. Said, we're going to get the members. Said, I'm going right down to the tabernacle, and I'm going to get the members to get together. Said, and we're going to send a petition to Washington. Said, we're going to do something. He said, brother. Said, all I got is $1, a raincoat, and a pack of chewing gum. Said, but you can have that. Said, I'm going to give that to you. And he walked over, dropped the raincoat, and extended his hand, which the gorilla clasped gently. Reb said, brother, I'm going to see you in a little while. And he went to pull back, and he felt the gorilla tighten up. A pain shot up his arm, down his back. Reb said, brother, I told you that I would see you in a little while. Then Reb heard his spine snap. Reb said, brother, didn't I say I would see you in a little while? And the gorilla snatched him inside the cage, betwixt the bars. Reb threw that small opening in the bars, broke both shoulder blades getting him in there. Then he cupped Reb's head in one paw, and he rained blows upon him with a 75-pound mass of hair-covered nut. The breeder said, brother. Said, wait a minute. Said, hold it. And the gorilla snatched him by the neck. The gorilla had a handful of the man's neck. A handful of neck doesn't leave too much neck. Has anybody ever had a handful of your neck? The gorilla took him by the neck and beat him off both sides of the cage. Then he slammed him around and slammed him down and jumped up and down and picked him up and flung him out between the bars. Rev got up. Brushed off his clothes. He walked over to the cage. He said, brother, said, I'm talking to you. Said, I'm talking to you. And the gorilla glanced back over his shoulder. The rep said, you know, said, you're not a man. Said, you act like a gorilla. Said, that's the way you act. He said, whatever they said you did, you did it. Yes, you did it, and some more besides. Said, I'm going to get the members to send a petition to Washington, all right, to see that you get the electric chair. Said, and oh, yes. Said, as for that hair hanging down in your nasty face, I hope they keep you in there so long it'll cover your shaggy corn.